Okay, here, Ian, and maybe anybody else I might send this to, but just to give you a little quick review on trigonometry and what we have to do to solve these problems. So remember, our first step, as always, the most important thing was to label our HOA, the Homeowners Association, which in the triangle, remember that this was always the hypotenuse. We always labeled it first. And then whatever your angle of reference was, let's just pretend that the angle of reference is right here. That would make this the opposite and this the adjacent. Okay? So whatever the angle, whether they give it to you, like they'll say 75 degrees, or maybe they're trying to find this angle, okay? Straight across is always the opposite, then the third side is the adjacent. And that's why we like to label them H, O, and A, because it's easier to go in that order. H, the hypotenuse, always across from the 90. Then we have our reference angle for the opposite. The third wheel is the adjacent. Then, and as I write this, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, I remember that. So then we go sine of whatever is the opposite over hypotenuse, or cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, or tangent is opposite over adjacent. So you just got to simply look at, remember, when you're given a problem, which of the three sides do you know nothing about? I mean, like, they didn't give you a letter, they didn't give you a number, there's zip. And then that you look at these three and like, okay, well, they didn't give me anything about the H. Well, then that means these two are out, which means it's got to be tangent. The first letter is always telling us which trig function to use. And then the second letters are on top. The third letter is on the bottom of the fraction. Okay? So these three is how we find sides. So just a quick example here. Okay, continuing on here. I sorry I'd take a quick break and answer a phone call from a teacher. So anyhow, trying to remember what I was telling you. But we use this if we need to figure out a side. Okay? So if they give you a problem and it might look like something like this. There's the 90. Maybe this is 62 degrees and they want to know what that is. Okay? Well, first you label your HOA. There's H. This would be O because of our angle. Okay? Which would make this the A. So now to figure this out, you're going to look at and say, okay, I know nothing about the A, so I can't use anything with an A in it, which means I have to use sine. So to set the problem up, you're going to say, okay, sine of 62 equals the opposite, okay, which, oops, I should have given you, let's call this 10. I need to give you that one. So opposite, which is 10 over x. Now, so to solve this problem, anytime the letter was on the bottom, you just flip-flop these two. So basically what it really means is x now equals 10 divided by sine of 62. And the biggest thing everybody would forget to do is they forget to put sine of 62. They just say 10 divided by 62. Don't do that. 10 divided by sine of 62, that'll tell you how long that hypotenuse is. Now, other problems, let's just pretend that the x was here and the 10 was here. Okay, no sweat. So now we're just flipping, whoops, I'm trying to erase here. It's not what. Okay, it doesn't want me to erase that. Oh well. So all you would do is say sine of 62 equals the opposite, which is x over 10. Okay, that's opposite over hypotenuse. So now all you do is take sine of 62 and you just multiply by 10. Okay, because this is x divided by 10. To get x by itself, we would multiply both sides by 10. So you take 10 times sine of 62, and voila, you have your opposite side. Now that's to figure out sides. To figure out angles, let me add a picture here. Now, to find angles, we're going to use the same steps. First, we label the HOA, but now we're going to go, the letters are all the same, but now we're going to add this. Remember, you hit second and then sign, all right? And this is actually pretty easy, or the inverse of cosine, or the inverse of tangent. And again, you use this to figure out an angle. So real simple, if we have an example here, we need to know that angle, and this side is 10 and this side is 17. So you label your HOA, that's H, this would be O, this is A. I know nothing about A, which means I would have to use sine. So we would take the inverse of sine, and then that's how it's going to pop up on your calculator right here. Okay? You hit second sine, and it's going to pop that much up. Then you just put in the numbers. It's O over H, which is 10 over 17. Hit enter, and it's going to tell you how many degrees this angle is right here. Okay? So that's the basics of the trigonometry. And if you have more questions, let me know. Have a great day. God bless.